Hundreds more cancer patients will now get the help they need. We reveal the new drugs funded by Pharmac.
The end of 14 years of Conservatives. The UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has conceded defeat in a landslide victory for Labour.
We say Haere. It's Newshub's last day on air, and after copping one last bombshell, we take a look back on more than 3 decades.
And the new All Blacks captain is known as Dog Roll, and he'll be hoping he's not looking like Dog Tucker after the first test.
Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. Hundreds of cancer patients could be set to benefit from the first drugs funded out of the government's recent boost for Pharmac. The drug buying agency has announced that pending consultation, Keats will be the first drug funded from October 1st. It'll be used to treat advanced triple-negative breast cancer, head and neck cancer, colorectal cancer, bladder cancer, and also Hodgkin's lymphoma, while Opdivo will be funded for kidney cancer from November. Here's our political editor, Jenna Lynch, with the story.
Jill Ripley has a lot to live for: her love of music, her love of her wee ones, Joseph and Sammy.
Come on, Sammy.
So when she thinks about her triple-negative breast cancer diagnosis, she likes to remain positive.
Taking it each day as it comes, really.
Jill was diagnosed a year ago. She began chemo last August, had surgery in January, and her oncologist recommended Keats. It was unfunded and cost $100,000.
When she first told me how much it was kind of like, oh, there's no way that I'll be able to afford that. That's, you know, it's a kind of life-changing sum of money.
Today, Pharmac announced it was opening consultation on funding Keats for triple-negative breast cancer, but only for those with advanced cancer. As Jill has early stage, it won't be funded for her. She's been able to fund it with the help of family.
Glad I did it. I can look back, and whatever happens in future, I'll know that I did everything that I could, because I think, yeah, that's the biggest thing. You've got to know that you've done everything.
10 to 15% of breast cancers are triple negative. It's more aggressive and harder to treat. The Breast Cancer Foundation has been campaigning for Keats to be funded for years. Today's announcement is due to the government's recent Pharmac funding boost.
But even I'm a little bit surprised I've managed to do it this quickly. It's very impressive, and it speaks of good things to come.
The breast cancer application is expected to help 30 women in the first year. Breast Cancer Aotearoa Coalition Chair Libby Burgess is delighted.
Yeah, overjoyed. It is a fantastic announcement for women with advanced triple-negative breast cancer.
But it's just the beginning of what's needed.
It's great to have it funded for the advanced stage of the disease. It really should be funded for the early stage as well. We know that will stop the cancer coming back.
Patient advocate Malcolm Mulholland says this is evidence of what can happen if Pharmac is sufficiently funded.
This is the first drug to treat bowel cancer in over 22 years. It's massive.
Chris Wakeman is a colorectal surgeon and has concern about capacity of the system to administer the new meds.
Do we have the beds or the chairs to administer these drugs? Do we have the nurses? I think is questionable.
The government's about to learn funding drugs is just the first step.
Kia ora, Jenna. Keats is a major one, but what's left in the process to actually get funded?
So Pharmac is having a short, sharp consultation period, but the fact that they have put dates on these means there is very little chance they are going to renege on that, particularly with the politically fraught debate around cancer drugs. Of the 6 cancer treatments announced today, 2 are on the list of that 13 that National promised during the election. Now, the reason that we have that other 4 is because of the way that they fixed their broken promise. From what I understand, Pharmac was telling the government after the budget that it would not be able to fund any more drugs this year. The way that they fixed that up, pumping $600 million into Pharmac, means that we're getting the 13 and more. So it is a massive deal. It shows what can be done in the medicine space if you do have the political willpower. It's backed by some major cash.
Awesome stuff, Jenna. Thank you so much. The Labour Party has won the UK election by a landslide. Sir Keir Starmer's centre-left party will return to power with a huge majority after 14 years of right-wing government under the Conservatives.
Meanwhile, controversial right-wing politician Nigel Farage from Reform UK is now a Member of Parliament, breaking through on his 8th attempt. Europe correspondent Lisette Raymer has more.
Some Brits have waited years for these final seconds. Big Ben hit 10 p.m. and the countdown to change was complete.
Oh my God.
Commentators were speechless and breathless.
A Labour landslide.
And the public sigh of relief quickly morphed into song.
Tories out! Tories out!
The tectonic plates of British politics shifting after 14 years of turbulence and turmoil, defined by Brexit and COVID, but ultimately the Conservatives.
The exit poll is just like amazing. I mean, 14 years of Tory chaos and we are finally out of it, and we are out of it with a huge bang.
In the last 8 years, there have been 5 UK Prime Ministers. The revolving door of number 10 welcoming and farewelling blooper-prone Prime Ministers.
Forgive me. Forgive me.
And the shortest serving ever.
I am resigning.
The latest turfed out, Rishi Sunak, a man richer than King Charles, paying the price for over a decade of Tory troubles, now responsible for the party's worst election result in more than a century.
The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on, and I take responsibility for the loss.
Sir Keir Starmer's move into Downing Street has been viewed by most as a foregone conclusion. The change in power has appeared inevitable for months, if not years. Today's result was so predictable, I was able to confidently film this weeks in advance before flying home to New Zealand.
A former chief prosecutor and human rights lawyer, the 61-year-old only entered Parliament in 2015. Now he's ready to form a government.
You have voted. It is now time for us to deliver.
A Prime Minister with an enormous party majority and an even bigger to-do list. Lisette Raymer, Newshub.
A US man who tried to intervene in the fatal hit and run of a New Zealand woman has recalled being shot at as the offenders fled in a vehicle.
Patricia Mackay died after being struck by a getaway car following a botched robbery outside a shopping mall in the California city of Newport. Zane Small reports.
Rest in heaven, Patricia Mackay. A memorial for the 68-year-old New Zealander at the California Mall where she was killed earlier this week. She was holidaying there with her husband Doug, who served on the board of BNZ for over a decade.
When I walked up, it was just a dead body laying in the ground.
The pair were at a shopping centre in the city of Newport when they were robbed at gunpoint by 2 men.
There was a struggle and they were attempting to rob them.
Patricia died after being hit by a car driven by a third offender. An eyewitness who intervened spoke to Radio New Zealand.
That poor woman was out in the middle of the street basically fighting with 2 guys over her purse, and I was still a ways kind of down the street, several hundred feet. So when I saw that, something said, she's going 2v1. That could be someone's mom, someone's grandma, it could be mine,
Newport police said one suspect fired a handgun 3 times.
I tried to get the one guy that was getting into the car, and we both went down, and we were both running for the car now at this point. He was trying to get in the car, I was trying to get him, and that's when their buddy started shooting at me.
The suspects were then filmed fleeing down the highway in a white vehicle. The cameras were still rolling from above as the offenders run for cover and try to hide until they're cornered by police and arrested. 3 men aged between 18 and 26 were charged with homicide, robbery and firearms offences.
Frankly, to hell with these guys. They came into our city knowing that they were going to commit crime, and a woman is dead today because of it.
In an email to us today, Newport Mayor William O'Neill said he's heartbroken for the Mackay family, and he'll continue to work with them through this, quote, horrific time. A spokesperson for the family said words cannot describe their sadness as they try to come to terms with the loss of a mother, a wife and a friend. Zane Small, Newshub.
Well, today marks the end of 35 years of this news organisation.
The operation that was 3 National News, then 3 News and now Newshub has been disestablished by our American owner, Warner Brothers Discovery.
Nearly 300 jobs have now gone, with many still out of work. Juliet Speedy reports.
The first in a day of lasts. TV3's last ever AM show. Long-time TV3 staff Melissa Chan-Green and Lloyd Burr on air for the last time.
You're the best, Mel. So I'm gutted. I've spent my whole professional life here, building this place up, wanting it to be a success, and to see it fall apart like this. Great to have you with us.
The show also hosted many of the network's veteran journalists for their final time on air.
How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm just so grateful, and it's been the best, wildest ride, and I won't regret any of it.
I think for me a huge part of it is just being grateful. Like, there's so much history in this place and so many incredible people that have been part of it.
One by one, staff arrived at the infamous former cheese factory on Flower Street for their last shift.
I've turned up like it's any other ordinary day, except it's just not another ordinary day. When I walked through the doors, I just thought, I've walked in those doors for 21 years.
A sad day made worse for Paddy Gower and his team, finding out this morning about a decision from New Zealand On Air.
Yeah, we'd been hopeful that Paddy Gower Has Issues would be funded, and some people from here would be working on it. New Zealand On Air has been unable to do that. They're not funding it.
Gower, like many here, is still looking for work in what's become a perilous industry in New Zealand. And now 35 years of one of the country's biggest media organisations ends today at 7 p.m.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what the lead is at this point, but yeah.
Are we the lead?
Part of the fun. No. Well, not at this point. I would like to think we'd get something, else other than us.
The bureaus in Christchurch and Wellington now packed up. The light's gone out for good, with all staff flying north for the final show.
From all of us here at New Zealand to the Newshub whānau, we wish every single one of you the best wishes in the future ahead.
I grew up at TV3. I was 19 when I started. I'm 54 now.
Christchurch camera operator Waz Armstrong's been with the company full-time since day one.
I can't really put it into words how amazing it's been. For a young Māori boy from Taharoa.
There are a handful of day oneers still here. And the end of TV careers for many, like Mike McRoberts. 23 years on the job ends tonight. And Sam Hayes, who did shifts as an intern at just 17.
My motto today, no tears until 7 o'clock, okay? It's not helping that you're crying too. It's really not helping.
The Newshub team have told hundreds of thousands of stories, often in a war of words with politicians. But today, the words were kind.
But I frankly think that Newshub has done a better job at night on 6 o'clock news than TV1, this heavily subscribed taxpayer-funded outlet. And I'm sorry to see them go.
And I just want to say thanks to all the Newshubbers for all the work that they've done and for the contribution they've made to New Zealand over many, many years, and I wish them all the very best.
Just want to wish everyone all the best. One of the saddest days in the history of New Zealand broadcasting.
A broadcaster that, in a matter of hours, will be yesterday's news.
Well, kia ora, Juliet. We're still today's news. How's Newshub marking the end of this news operation?
Well, Mike, they often say news is hard to plan and prepare for, and we certainly didn't plan to be here delivering this news about ourselves. But we have had more than 4 months to prepare for this day, as that is when we got the news of these redundancies and this operation closing down. So there have already been a number of occasions to mark the end of this place, the decades of it and the people that have contributed to it. But tonight, Mike, as you know, the entire company is here at Flower Street watching this final bulletin go to air. And then we will go and have a wee knees up to celebrate what has been an incredible legacy here at Newshub, delivering New Zealand's stories, best and worst, and around the world. And Mike, we're all going to miss that a lot.
Beautiful, Juliet. Tēnā koe. Now, we're also going to look back at our 34 years of operation towards the end of the show, so our sport and weather is going to run a little earlier.
It's just moving up the show a little bit. Well, Heather is here now. You're keeping it together. You're doing well, Heather. Fantastic. How was the weather today?
I'm just not making eye contact.
OK, that's good. Good policy.
OK, that's good.
It was cold, frosty, icy, one of the coldest days of the year. So severe frost for many, including Christchurch, who dropped to -4, but it was the coldest in Twizel with -7. Now, the first of two fronts have arrived over the deep south and they shimmy north over the next 24 hours. Details on those and the latest swell warning up next.
OK, thanks so much, Heather. Good strategy. Well, as pressure builds on Joe Biden to pull out of the presidential race, Donald Trump has well and truly put the boot into both Biden and his Vice President, Kamala Harris.
The government set targets for mental health, but people working in the sector are needing the services themselves.
And we're at Game Fest in Wellington, where the next big wave in Kiwi entertainment is being celebrated.
Hoki mai anō, welcome back. Police have just released CCTV images of a woman allegedly linked to an assault on an Auckland bus a week ago. They're seeking the public's help to identify the woman, dressed all in black and carrying a suitcase. She boarded a bus on Pakuranga Road on the 28th of June before the assault at about 9:15 a.m. Earlier this week, the 16-year-old victim said he lost his 3 teeth after being hit in the face with a metal pole. His attacker said he'd used racial slurs. Police cannot say if it's a hate-related crime.
A police search is underway for a man who has been missing in the Wairarapa since Wednesday. Alexa Cook joins us now live with more on this. Alexa, what more do we know?
Well, Sam, the police have been searching all through last night and all through today with land search and rescue and a helicopter. Now, the man who's missing is 57-year-old Ben Fox, and he's from Masterton, but he hasn't been seen since Wednesday morning, although police have found his vehicle at the Mangatiri walking track near Carterton and are worried that he's out there in the bush somewhere. So they're searching for anyone with any information to come forward, people that might have seen him perhaps walking on the track or seen him parking his car out there. Now, they're growing increasingly worried about him because he's been outside in freezing conditions now for over 50 hours. And of course, his family are desperately hoping that he'll soon be home safe.
Now, Mihi, Alexa, thanks so much.
Donald Trump has claimed Joe Biden is quitting the presidential race after his poor performance in last week's debate. Despite calls from major donors to the Democratic Party for Biden to step down, the US president insists he is not dropping out of the race. Speaking mid-golf game, Trump also poked fun at Kamala Harris's competency.
Kick that old broken down pile of yeah, it's a bad guy. He just quit, you know, he's quitting the race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
The release of the Trump video comes as Republicans also launched a campaign attacking the vice president, who has emerged in the polls as a favourite to replace Biden.
France's election is on a knife edge as Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally party looks set to become the largest in Parliament. If National Rally fails to secure an absolute majority, Le Pen said she would reach out to other parties. 30,000 police officers will be deployed across the country on Sunday to prevent unrest as the final round of voting gets underway.
Newshub can reveal health workers in Southland, including the mental health staff, have been given access to counselling sessions to deal with the stress of a hiring freeze.
It comes the day after the government set itself targets to improve mental health services. Political reporter Amelia Wade has the exclusive details.
Yesterday, a Prime Ministerial promise to improve the state of our mental health services.
As Prime Minister, improving mental health services in New Zealand is a major focus for my government.
But right now, the health system is in a hiring freeze on all non-frontline roles.
What's happened there is that there's no blanket freeze. What it is that the actual decisions about local hiring has actually been given and devolved back to the local health authority so they can actually tailor it to the regions that they're in, rather than doing that centrally out of Wellington.
The process is taking its toll on staff. Newshub's obtained an email from the head of Health NZ's Southern Group Director, Hamish Brown, telling staff to seek support if they need it through provided counselling sessions.
We have a fantastic people in our healthcare system, and it's often the system that's let them down, and that's why I want to see better delivery, better support, better focus of frontline services in our healthcare system.
A Southern mental health worker who wanted anonymity called the counselling sessions laughable and said the line that frontline services were not affected by the hiring freeze was a blatant lie.
It looks like a lot of gaslighting going on from senior management and ministers saying that there's no frontline cuts.
Be really clear, this is a government that is spending more on health than we've ever spent before. We are determined to make sure we have a world-class healthcare system. We know it's complex, we know we've got workforce challenges.
In a statement, Health NZ reiterated the pause on hiring did not affect patient-facing roles and said that thousands of clinical staff continued to be hired. Amelia Wade, Newshub.
Well, Sporters, next. It's a bit earlier tonight as we've got something special planned for the end of the show. But I have to say, one of the great joys of this news hour for me is introducing the wonderful Andrew Gourdie.
Wonderful. I'm used to another word starting with W, so I'll take that. Brilliant stuff. Hey, we'll hear from Scott Barrett ahead of his first test as captain of the All Blacks. Plus, we chat one-on-one with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who offers a mid-season review on his return to the Warriors. And Sir Andy Murray bids an emotional farewell at the scene of his greatest triumph.
In celebration of games in all its forms, Games Festival in Wellington brings together the makers and the fans of what is now one of the country's biggest earners.
And saying a final farewell to nearly 35 years of TV3 News, we take a look back at all the biggest moments that we've been through together.
As he prepares for his first test in one of the most coveted and scrutinised roles in New Zealand sport, new All Blacks captain Scott Barrett admits he'll be leaning on those around him. While tomorrow night's test against England will be his first in charge of the team, it'll also be his first game in 2 months after injuries limited his involvement during the Super Rugby season. Our rugby reporter Ollie Ritchie has more.
Scott Barrett taking a moment to soak it all in. His first All Blacks captain's run in the books. He's gone about his business as usual. He's a quiet leader, but he's making his presence felt as All Blacks captain by not doing it alone.
I guess trusting the 22 guys around me that they're going to do the job, and yeah, I've got to do my job as well.
Barrett will lead an All Blacks team that's not necessarily new in look, but certainly has a new feel. Scott Robertson has made his mark on the group from day one. Barrett is eager to soak in his first test as captain.
But I think that's what I'm reminding myself, is to enjoy the occasion. Yeah, never losing the fact of why we play the game.
While it's a new era for the All Blacks and a first look at how this side might play, England are at the end of their season, but they're not buying the hype. They're primed for an upset.
That's all to take pressure off New Zealand. Look, to beat New Zealand, you've got to be at your best. They're a very good team, and I think you sit in this room that you would believe that they're the favourites. So as much as you say that short preparation time, this is the best chance, whatever, I think you understand the challenge in front of us.
Whether they can cause an upset or not, the tourists are excited by a rare chance to play the All Blacks in New Zealand.
It's not like Six Nations where you get this opportunity every single year. Some players who've got many caps have not played New Zealand before, so I think there's an underlying excitement about this experience.
One the All Blacks are out to ensure won't be a memorable one. Ollie Ritchie, Newshub.
Well, it might come as a bit of a surprise, but Roger Tuivasa-Sheck says he's loving the rollercoaster nature of life back at the Warriors. The 2018 Dally M medalist is midway through his first season back with the club, following a 3-year stint in rugby union. Tuivasa-Sheck's been dealing with injuries and the Warriors' indifferent 2024 campaign, but he's keeping a positive mindset about where the club's at and where it's heading. Tia McDougall caught up with him.
Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's well accustomed to the highs and lows of the Warriors.
That's the norms here at the Waz. Since I've been here, that's all I've known.
And he clearly hasn't forgotten about the roller coaster fans and players go on every year.
Played with the Blues and everything was going too good and made it to the finals, and you know, missed that feeling of being in the trenches.
And that's exactly where the Warriors have been in 2024. It's been a season of all sorts, including a 60-point loss to the Titans.
From 10 metres out, Keanu Kenny just blows past the Warriors.
Followed by a thrilling 32-16 win over the Broncos.
Martin kicking on the fourth. Tuivasa-Sheck!
builds resilience and character within the group.
And they've sure needed both of those, with lots of questions asked by those inside and outside the squad.
I know all those trolls or fans, they're just real passionate fans and some diehard Warriors supporters. We've got to focus on the job that's at hand, and we've got a head coach and we believe in him.
And Tuivasa Sheck's convinced the Warriors have a special coach in Andrew Webster.
Personally, I just like the one-on-one connection that you can have with him.
That connection could help them push for a place in the playoffs. Remarkably, for all their inconsistency, the Warriors are only 3 points outside of the top 8.
You got to go through those lows to really chat those highs, and when you get those, it's you just try and hold on to as much as you can, and hopefully that's building for us now heading into the business end.
A big win over the Bulldogs would be the perfect step in the right direction. T. McDougall, Newshub.
The Tall Blacks' Olympic dream has been crushed by Slovenia and their NBA star Luka Doncic. He proved far too hot for the Tall Blacks to handle at the last gasp qualifying events overnight. The 2-metre Doncic dropping 36 points as Slovenia ran out comfortable winners, 104-78, to end New Zealand's hopes of securing a spot in Paris.
Back to Doncic. And Doncic drills the three right at the end of the quarter. Wow.
It's been 20 years since the Tall Blacks featured at the Olympics. The New Zealand Breakers have appointed their new head coach. Petteri Koponen will take the lead role and joins the club following a stint in the NBA Summer League as assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs. He only retired from playing 2 years ago and has coached in the EuroLeague since. Breakers owner Matt Walsh has described Koponen as one of the best young coaches in the world. Andy Murray has bid an emotional farewell to Wimbledon, the tournament he won in 2013 to end a 77-year wait for a British men's champion. The three-time Grand Slam winner's played his last game on the famed centre court, playing one final grass court doubles game with his brother Jamie. Alex Chapman reports.
As the greats gathered and Wimbledon rose as one, Sir Andy Murray fought back tears. There may not have been a dry eye, but dry humour is the best way to deal with moments like this.
I'll try and keep it quick too. My kids are up there and it's like way past their bedtime, so I won't keep you long.
But there will be plenty more time to do that when he finally confirms his retirement. The Ringo of the Big Four, he may not have had the suave of the Swiss maestro, crispness of the King of Clay, or the nerve of Novak.
Well, yeah, they were all right, weren't they? Yeah, they weren't the easiest guys to get past.
They stood in his way for so long, though today paid tribute to him in a video.
We have been against you.
And with you. And we know how it feels right now.
Despite them, Murray always made sure he still did it his own way. An Olympic gold at London 2012 and Rio 16, a maiden slam in 2012, though his biggest moment came a year later. The first British...
Male player, right?
Yes, first British male player in 77 years to win Wimbledon.
I did find it pretty stressful, to be honest with you.
Before doing it again 3 years later.
I don't remember much of that night. I'd had a few drinks and I did... unfortunately vomit in the cab on the way home as well. Yeah.
Several spews and surgeries later, now 37, he'll end a 19-year career with 3 Grand Slams. His brother by his side, even this surly Scot managed some tears. Alex Chapman, Newshub.
Great stuff, Chappie. Now, that is it for your Newshub Sport. Now, I'm very aware that viewers are used to seeing someone else here on a Friday night, so I'm going to bring my old mate Nicky Styris in here. She's been on the weekends. She's been on the AM show. This is the last leg of the farewell tour, I've got to say. It's like Super Sport Sunday all those years ago, isn't it? But we had a lot of fun, haven't we, mate?
Oh, we have had so much fun. It's a day to celebrate. Yeah. It's also a day to be sad. But, you know, Andrew, I'm used to coming off the reserves bench. I've been doing this now for nearly a decade. You know, every now and again you'd get sick or you just wouldn't show up. So I'd get to come up to the starting, you know, the starting lineup. And I like to think of myself as a bit of an impact player anyway. So
absolutely.
But just on a serious note, it's been an absolute honour and privilege to share the sports news with you over this decade and bring the stories to the people out there. And I just hope from a personal point of view that I have been a positive role model for other wahine out there to be a strong force in sports journalism, because Yeah. It's still a lad's world out there. We got this, girls. We got this.
Absolutely. No, and look, to echo that sentiment, feel very fortunate, very grateful to have been part of this incredible team, continuing a legacy that's been set by some incredible broadcasters, some incredible journalists. I've been very humbled to hear from some of them in the last few days. So thank you so much for everything you've done. Thank you all for watching. Ollie Ritchie's going to be bringing you sports news from now on. He is not only an elite operator, a 10 out of 10 bloke, and he speaks great French as well, guys. I'm sure at some point, Mike and Sam, that is going to come in handy.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. They're both absolute champions.
We love you guys. And actually, sport's the hardest part of the whole bulletin. All of those tennis names.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we think too.
Yeah. We're pros, Sam.
I want to be doing that.
And wonderful representatives of an incredible sports team. So thank you so much, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Okay. Like I said, no tears till 7 o'clock. So we're going to push on. We've got a little bit more to do.
Started already, hasn't it?
I know. We've got a little bit more to do before then. So while the TV industry has seen better days, who wrote this? New Zealand's other small screen sector is surging.
Game Fest is underway in Wellington, where game players and game makers celebrate the world's fastest growing entertainment industry. Tech reporter Finn Hogan has more.
From on screen to on stage, it's game on at Game Fest. And the gaming sector has a lot to celebrate, like a $160 million investment from government starting this year.
I think not everybody realizes that it's 2 or 3 times as large as film and music combined. So to have the government acknowledge that and provide real funding for us has made a difference. We have a lot of indies from 3 to 30 people, small and mid-sized studios, who are really blowing up and doing great. And the sky's the limit. As you say, we can go really far.
Blowing up is putting it mildly for Black Salt Games, the 4-person team behind indie hit Dredge. In just over a year, it sold 1.5 million copies, been nominated for 4 BAFTAs, and will soon be adapted as a film.
In the last decade, we have increased the jobs in the game industry by double, but the revenue we have earned is 10 times. That means every single person that we bring into the game industry increases the revenue we generate exponentially.
And with 70% of Kiwis playing at least one game, the average gamer being 35, the industry says it's time to put gaming stereotypes to bed.
Women are actually the larger demographic of gamers now as well. So I think the idea of, games being for geeks, I mean, I'm a geek, I'm proud of being a geek, and there are a lot of us geeks in there, but I think the traditional idea of the gamer has passed. These days, everybody is a gamer.
And if the game you want to play doesn't exist, it could be time to make it yourself.
Doesn't matter whether you think your game is a great idea or not a great idea, no one will know until you actually make it. Just make your game, make it happen.
As Kiwi Games already soar to success, Games Fest prepares the next generation to shoot for the stars. Finn Hogan, Newshub.
Okay, our top stories tonight. Pending a consultation, Keytruda will be the first new cancer drug funded by Pharmac from October the 1st. It'll be used to treat advanced triple-negative breast cancer, head and neck cancer, colorectal cancer, bladder cancer and Hodgkin lymphoma. Opdivo will be funded from November for kidney cancer.
And today marks the end of 35 years of this news organisation. Nearly 300 jobs have now gone at Newshub, with many still out of work. And we will be looking back at all the big stories we've covered just a little bit later on in the program. But first, very important, hear the weather. What's coming up with the weekend?
It's a little windy to start, but then as we head into next week, the weather is excellent. High pressure for a very long time, but we do have large swells arriving late Sunday night with 5.5 metre southerly waves, resulting in an orange heavy swell warning for coastal Wairarapa through till early hours Tuesday morning. Your full weather is up next.
Tomorrow's weather brought to you by nature. Turn it to power by Meridian.
Nau mai anō, welcome back. For the last time, here is your Newshub weather. Most tomorrow will have a carbon copy of today's weather, but there are those fronts down south, and they'll be pushing north tomorrow, weakening in the west as they approach the North Island in the afternoon. Now, a ridge then builds back across us behind the front, with the school holiday's best friend on its way to visit from the Tasman, a huge high-pressure system. But before then, the last of the frontal weather will need to play out over the South Island. So showers in the west tonight with occasional rain rain in the south spreading north with snow to 900 metres and westerlies turning southerly. Now tomorrow snow to 800 metres first start with the showers spreading north with that front, then clearing late afternoon and evening. Now a few showers expected for the west of the North Island tonight and maybe Gisborne, but it is mostly fine everywhere else, just areas of cloud with southwesters. Tomorrow again a few showers in the west and north and also the south, which will spread up the eastern side with the passage of the front. So essentially Bay of Plenty and down through the middle of the island will be fine. So the weekend starts with a few clouds up top and with the chance of showers for everyone here, all at different times of the day though, with fresh southwesters which will ease in the evening. It is a beautiful fine morning here with early frost for pretty much everyone except you, Tauranga. You won't get cold enough tonight. West to southwest winds will ease late afternoon. Fine and likely frosty out east, but it will cloud over with the chance of showers from the afternoon for everyone, with a south to southwest wind developing in the afternoon and evening. A mix of sun and cloudy patches for the rest of the island, and with the chance of showers too. Winds will pick up across the day from all over the show. To the south, showers first thing, but they clear early in the morning and then it's fine for most of the day, with cloud then returning tomorrow night. It's frosty for Blenheim, a few showers elsewhere, but they will clear around midday or early afternoon. Southwesters for Christchurch and Ashburton, and they'll ease in the afternoon. Early showers for the rest of the island, but they're clearing. However, in Invercargill and Stewart Island, you'll have showers for the entire day with strong and gusty westerlies. So showers around Dunedin for the morning, but they will clear after lunch. It does stay cloudy though, with fresh westerlies. Cloudy periods expected with morning showers around Christchurch. Fortunately, they dry out for the afternoon, so plenty of blue sky, and the sou'wester will ease too. Partly cloudy for the capital, but there will be showers. They arrive late morning and into the afternoon with a developing southerly. Now first up, morning frost for parts of Hawke's Bay, then isolated showers develop near the coast in the morning, spreading inland in the afternoon, and with westerlies turning southerly. Tauranga looks to be the most settled of the main cities tomorrow. It's fine all day with a high of 15 and with southwesterlies. It's mainly fine around Hamilton, but don't be surprised if you get caught in a morning or early afternoon shower. Southwesterlies will ease tomorrow night. And a fairly similar day north for Auckland, with partly cloudy skies and isolated showers, but again they'll clear in the evening around the same time that fresh southwester eases. All right, to Oz, showers spread up east from Sydney to Cairns and also hit Perth. And the Cook Islands look to have the best weather tomorrow of the Pacific. There will be showers for most others. Second half of the weekend is looking good. In fact, there is very little disruptive weather of any kind for the North Island for Sunday, Monday or even Tuesday, apart from a very small risk of isolated showers for the north and west. Slightly different for the South Island, with that strong southwest flow making Sunday quite windy, especially for the lower south. Likely wind warnings will be issued for Otago and Southland with gale southwesterlies. And as this is the last time standing in front of this very giant weather wall, I want to thank you all for tuning in. For every weather photo you've ever sent in, every slow-mo video of lightning and the double rainbow pics. I think though this was a very fishing photo that Robin sent through today. The sun setting over Mount Coco with the iconic television mast. End of an era with you, mate McRoberts, Andrew Gourdie, Nicky Styris. It's been a pleasure to work alongside you all.
Thank you, Heather. You're so good. Thank you. Okay, grab the tissues because coming up we're saying haere to TV3 News. After more than 3 decades of telling your stories, it's time to say goodbye. We'll take one final look back. Welcome back. Today's the last day of Newshub, and after 34 years, the last day of 3 producing its own news.
From tomorrow, Stuff will be providing a 6 o'clock bulletin to 3's owners, Warner Brothers Discovery. So let's take a look back at the big stories and events that we've covered and that you've watched.
No journalism gets you closer to a big event than TV news. Even before the journalist gets involved, the images and audio can tell a powerful story on their own that newspapers and radio can't compete with. That's how we started the news on the day 9/11 happened.
This is 3 News. Tonight, an extended 3 News as we bring you coverage of the horrific events in the United States.
Al-Qaeda's attack on New York's Twin Towers killed nearly 3,000 people and literally changed the world. It sparked George Bush's war on terror. And with it, a worldwide backlash against Muslims that had terrible consequences here in Aotearoa 18 years later.
The death toll isn't known, but it's understood it is the worst shooting event in New Zealand's history.
The Christchurch mosque attacks claimed 51 lives and left us all in disbelief.
They are us. The person who has perpetuated this violence against us is not.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's response boosted her international reputation. But the arrival of COVID in 2020 presented her with another huge challenge.
These decisions will place the most significant restrictions on New Zealanders' movements in modern history.
Ardern's hard line was accepted as lives were being saved, but eventually the lockdowns and vaccine mandates raised many questions. And we asked them. And then there was the occupation of Parliament's grounds.
It's utter chaos. It is absolutely terrifying what went down at our Parliament today.
Politics has always played a huge role in our coverage.
Your political career is in tatters. Do you have any regrets?
The ins and outs, the ups and downs, and the going, gone. And then there's election night.
He's a Mr. Miyagi right now. Luck's on, luck's off.
We've been through a lot, New Zealand, since that first news hour back in 1989. Read by Philip Sherry.
Good evening. An Auckland man is in prison tonight.
Often we came together in times of tragedy, like our rolling coverage of the deadly Christchurch earthquakes.
This is the inside of the cathedral. Just go in and have a look at the damage. Unbelievable.
And Kaikoura, capturing the images once seen, can't be forgotten. The eruption at Whakaari White Island that claimed 22 lives.
People beside themselves with worry and with fear, they left in tears.
It is with great sadness that we interrupt our program to tell you that Queen Elizabeth II has passed away.
And when Queen Elizabeth's remarkable reign came to an end, we brought you every moment.
It's where a grateful London and the world say goodbye.
There have been lighter moments too, with the touches of humour from reporters like Bob McNeil, now part of our DNA.
Bob McNeil, 3 National News.
We've travelled the world to bring you the biggest stories, from conflicts.
We're just 10 kilometres from the border, the constant but faint rumble of artillery being fired in this direction.
To natural disasters.
She has a gaping wound in her leg.
We've poured cold water on some extraordinary claims.
You're providing them with false hope.
What do you mean false hope?
Well, the water doesn't do anything.
And waded in as our neighbours, the lucky country, weren't so lucky.
Everyone in Sydney is being asked to stay home tonight because it's becoming too unsafe on the streets.
And through devastating tsunamis, typhoons and hurricanes.
The wind is so strong, and I have to say, it's actually quite scary, and that's mainly due to things flying around.
We've found a way to bring you the news.
Today there is no way you can get a car through here. It's absolutely flooded. The only way through the streets is on an airboat.
Climate change and weather event stories are now commonplace. But no one was ready for the devastation of Cyclone Gabrielle.
What's Cyclone Gabrielle taken from your family?
Everything.
From first using a simple Māori greeting,
Kia ora, good evening.
we now regularly use te reo.
E ngā mātā wakahuri noa tēnā koutou katoa.
And like the language, our coverage has blossomed.
How does it make you feel in your manawa, your heart seeing this today?
Some of our biggest sports stories have been some of our biggest news stories.
The greatest team of World Rugby now has the trophy to prove it.
Like winning the Rugby World Cup.
How good is this?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Or finally getting back the old mug.
Is that moment you've been dreaming of, carrying it around?
And we've had some gold medal winning moments reporting on our greatest success.
Oh, okay. I just celebrated with the men's pair.
And in amongst all that passionate support, we were there and loving it. Up the wires.
They're precious.
We brought the big screen to the small screen, celebrating our most creative Kiwis.
Always wanted to... It's quite heavy.
Over the years, there have been changes to our set, to our logo, and to the faces bringing you the news.
Kia ora, good evening. A huge police crackdown on boy races.
But in 34 years, we've never missed a bulletin, and we've loved bringing you the news. Thank you, New Zealand.
Yes, hi, Karen. That's right. I'm here from a car park, a television car park that you can see right behind me. What's your message to the voters?
Thank you.
We have loved making the news. Thank you so much for watching, for having us in your homes. Come on in here, guys. Get in here. Look, there's a...
Quick welfare check. How are you all getting on?
You guys okay?
Come on.
There's a huge team of people that work behind the scenes to make this happen. Thank you. Look, saying goodbye, it's so hard, isn't it? It's so very hard, but I know that we're going to stay friends long after today.
We certainly are. So we've come to the end, and I'd like to finish with that beautiful whakatauki or Māori proverb. Ia ha te mea nui o te ao. What is the most important thing in the world? He tangata, he tangata, he tangata. It is people, it is people, it is people. Thank you for being our people. We've absolutely loved being yours.